Last week, I watched this incredible half Russian, half English indie movie, Anora, and I wanted to share it because it's perfect for Russian learners. You know how sometimes you stumble across something that's both entertaining and helps with language learning? This is exactly that. So I recommend you go in blind, so don't watch any trailers or reviews. If you're learning Russian, you'll enjoy it. But for a quick overview, so the story is about a 20-year-old Russian kid with wealthy parents living in New York. His English is not great, which means there's tons of Russian dialogue throughout the film. And this switch between his awkward English and his fluent Russian is just so realistic. And what made this experience special wasn't just the movie itself. The entire theater was filled with Dutch people reading English subtitles, but my friend and I were catching all these subtle Russian jokes and references that just don't translate. Especially the swearing, Ruski mat, was a pleasure to listen to. And there's this one side character who just dominates every scene he's in, and he's dropping perfect Russian expressions that had us trying not to laugh too loud while everyone else was just reading the basic translation. And this brings me to something really important about learning Russian. Immersion does not always mean textbook and formal study. Sometimes it's about finding those parts of Russian culture that naturally draw you in. When you're watching something and genuinely enjoy it, your brain absorbs the language almost automatically. Because first, you're hearing natural conversational Russian and not the perfectly structured sentences from textbooks. You're learning how real Russians actually speak in different situations. And this is something I hear often from native speakers about my own Russian, that it's just not textbook Russian. And second, you're picking up on cultural references and humor that you just cannot get from traditional learning materials. So here are a couple of tips how I recommend you use movies to learn Russian. Begin with movies that have both Russian audio and English subtitles. Look for relatively newish movies first because modern language is what you'll actually use. Even though the Soviet classics are also great and you can watch many of them on YouTube with English subtitles for free. Also, don't worry if you miss things. Even native speakers don't understand every single reference. And also pay attention to body language and context because they'll help you understand more than you think. So the best part about Anora specifically is that it works. It's a good movie, whether you're beginner or more advanced. If you're just starting, you can follow along with subtitles. And if you're intermediate or advanced, you'll catch like these extra layers of meaning and humor. It's currently in the theaters, but you may need to look around a bit to find it. At least here in the Netherlands, it's mainly showing in independent theaters. But trust me, it's worth the effort to track it down. Oh, and one last thing. The movie starts off a bit oddly and maybe a bit cringe, but once a surge plot kicks in, I wasn't able to look away.